So good morning. Are you able to hear my voice? Arun? Can anyone reply? Are you able to hear my voice? Arun? Is my voice audible?
Yeah, it is audible. We can start.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Today we will see the continuation of my previous Monday's class. So we were seeing about the TLW gate questions. In the previous class, we saw about till 18 questions. I'll start. Okay, we'll start from this question. Read the question. Consider a 300 ohms quarter wave line at 1 gigahertz. The transmission line is shown in the figure. It is connected at a 10 volt 50 ohm source at one end and is left open circuited at the other end. The magnitude of the voltage at the open circuited end of the line is. So we have to find the voltage at the open circuited line. If you see this diagram, we can see this is our open circuited end. This is the source. They are given 10 volt 50 ohms. Characteristic impedance is 300 ohms. The length of the line is quarter wave line. So to find the voltage, we have to go for the general solution of transmission line. So when you study the transmission line, the first unit, the first topic will be the general solution of transmission line, in which we will study the voltage and current equation of transmission line. So just we'll recall the voltage and current equation of transmission line. I think you may remember this. Either you may study it in the matrix form or you may study the individual equations. This is the input voltage, output voltage. So recall this equation. This equation only we are going to use for this question to find the voltage. I'll take this equation. In this equation, Vz will be our load voltage. Since we are for quarter wave line, Z is equal to lambda by 4, VL is our Vz will be equal to VL. So how to find beta Z? Now Z is lambda by 4, beta is 2 pi by lambda. So if you substitute, we will get beta Z is equal to pi by 2. So substitute beta Z value in the previous question and Z0 value is given in the question as 300 ohms. So substitute that also. VL by IL cos pi by 2. We are, since beta Z is equal to pi by 2, we are substituting here pi by 2. Here sin pi by 2 equal VI and I current. So voltage is 0, current is 0.2. From where you got that value? In the open circuited, voltage is 0. The current is calculated by, how is the current calculated? Voltage by impedance. So we get 0.2. Okay. The open circuited 0, current is calculated by voltage by input voltage by impedance is 0.2. Now Cos pi by 2 value is 0. Sin pi by 2 value is 1. So substituting that, we will get this equation. VL by IL is equal to 0. J minus J Z naught minus J by Z naught 0 into 0 into 0.1. Now solve this. Find the equation of VL and IL. We'll get the answer. So VL is equal to minus J Z naught into 0.2. So what is our question to find? Voltage. So Z naught value is 300. It is minus J 60. The answer will be 60 ohms. Okay. Minus J Z naught. We don't take the polarity in case of voltage. It's very important to remember the basic equation of transmission line. Vz by Ez is equal to cos beta L minus J Z naught sin beta Z minus J sin beta Z by Z naught cos beta Z. We'll go to the next question. The next question is about a Smith chart. Read the question. Consider an impedance Z is equal to R plus JX marked with the point P in an impedance. The Smith chart is shown in the figure. The movement from the point P along the constant resistance circle in the clockwise direction by an angle 45 degree is equal to. So the question is very simple. They are given a point P where P is here is the point P. We have to move in the clockwise direction along the resistance circle for 45 degrees. So clockwise direction is this. So from here I have to move 45 degrees. They are asking what will be the equivalent. The possible choices are adding an inductance in series with Z, adding an capacitance in series with Z, adding an inductance in shunt across Z, adding an capacitance in shunt across Z. So we have to find what will happen to the impedance JX. They are asking about this JX. So JX, so we will see the impedance part along with the clockwise direction. Since the resistance is not going to change, since we are going to move only along the resistance circle. So all of full resistance circle, the resistance value is same. So only we have to see about the impedance. Remember these 2 points. This is applicable in Smith chart. Moving in clockwise direction in constant resistance circle gives rise to inductive effect, which is same as adding inductance in series. First point. Second point, moving in anti-clockwise direction in constant resistance circle gives rise to capacitive effect, which is same as adding capacitor in series. So answer is anyway in series only. If we move in clockwise direction, it is inductive in series. If we move in anti-clockwise direction, it is capacitive in series. So if you see the choice, option C and option D are ruled out. Now, the question is moving 45 degree clockwise in constant resistance circle increases the reactance. So it is similar to adding inductance in series with Z. For example, if P is equal to 5 minus J3, if we add the inductance in series, ZL is equal to J2. For example, inductance we are adding is J2. So if we plus J2, we will get 5 minus J. So 5 minus J will be in the clockwise direction. So 5 minus J will be in the clockwise direction. So answer is inductance in series. So this is the 2 points to be remembered. So next question, the lossless transmission line is terminated with a load which reflects a part of the incident power, the measured VSWR is 2. The percentage of the power that is reflected back is. So what are the things given in your question? First thing, lossless transmission line is terminated with a load which reflects a part of incident power. So it is not a matched network. Z0 is not equal to ZL. Next, they have given the value of VSWR. S. S is equal to, you know the equation. Next, the percentage of power that is reflected back. So you have to find the percentage of power reflected back. Given is VSWR, we have to find percentage of power reflected back means received power divided by incident power is equal to reflection coefficient, modulus of reflection coefficient square. So when you, by knowing this equation, now we can get the answer. We have to find modulus of reflection coefficient. So what is given in your question? VSWR. If VSWR is given, we can find modulus of reflection coefficient. So after that, we can apply in this formula, we will get the answer. So reflection coefficient is equal to S minus 1 by S plus 1. So modulus of reflection coefficient is equal to S minus 1 by S plus 2. In our question, they have given the value of VSWR is equal to 2. So 2 minus 1 divided by 2 plus 1, it will be equal to 1 by 3. So 1 by 3 is 0.11. Okay. So the ratio of reflected power to the incident power is PR by PI is equal to modulus of reflection coefficient square. So reflection coefficient square will be equal to 1 by 9, that is equal to 0.11. So percentage means it is 11.11 percentage. So it's very important to remember only PR by PI is equal to modulus of reflection coefficient square. Remember this, we can solve it. Next question. The characteristic impedance of a transmission line is 50 ohms. The input impedance of the open circuited line is 100 plus J 50 ohms. When the transmission line is short circuited, the value of the input impedance will be. So from this, it's very easy to solve. The characteristic impedance 50 ohms. Open circuited ZOC is equal to 100 plus J 150 ohms. When the transmission line is short circuited, the value of input impedance is. So question is to find ZSC. So ZOC, ZSC, and Z0 is almost the terms. So what is the relation between ZOC, ZSC, and ZOC? Yes. The characteristic impedance is given by Z0 is equal to root of ZOC into ZSC. Now the question is to find the value of ZSC. So square, so Z0 square by divided by ZOC will be equal to ZSC. So ZSC will be equal to Z0 square divided by ZOC. Z0 is given in the question, that is 50 ohms. So 50 ohms square divided by 100 plus J 150. How to solve when we have a complex term in the denominator? Yes. As we all know, we will multiply the complex conjugate in the denominator and numerator to make the denominator as the real value. So 50 plus 2 plus J3, since 50 cancel. So multiply the complex conjugate. So when you multiply the complex conjugate, what will be the denominator now? 2 plus j3 into 2 minus j3 will be equal to a square. A plus jb into a minus jb will be equal to a square plus b square. So a square is 2 square plus b square is 3 square. So 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9 will be 11. So it will be, first term will be 100 divided by 11. Second term will be 150 divided by 11. The answer will be the choice C or D. Next thing, the middle term is minus. So option is D. If you didn't go for an exact division also, from this we can find approximately 100 divided by 13 will be 7 point something, and 150 divided by 13 will be 11 point. The major thing to be concentrated is the minus sign. So answer is option D, 7.69 minus J, 11.54 ohms. Next, we will go to the next question. So they have two questions from same common data. So read the question. The question is, the voltage standing wave pattern in a lossless transmission line with characteristic impedance 50 ohms and the resistive load is given in the figure. So from the figure, you are able to get some parameters. So what we have to find is the value of load resistance and reflection coefficient. What can you understand from the figure? What are the terms given here? They are given 4 and 1. What is this 4 and 1? The 4 corresponds to the maximum and the 1 corresponds to the minimum. So V max is equal to 4 and V minimum is equal to 1. The distance between maximum and minimum will be lambda by 4. So V max is equal to 4 ohms, 4 volt. V minimum is equal to 1 volt. The distance between the maximum and minimum is lambda by 4. Next, how to find the load resistance? There's a thing here, the load resistance falls at voltage minimum. So what is the relationship between voltage minimum and load? We have, now the load is equal, ZL is equal to Z minimum. So ZL is equal to Z minimum means, we know the equation for Z minimum. Z not divided by, R not divided by S will be our Z minimum. That will be equal to our ZL now. Again, to apply this, they are given a word here, this to be remembered very well, that is resistive load. They are given this is a resistive load. We can apply this formula only in case of resistive load. So, when Vmax occurs at lambda by 4 distance from load and V minimum, so remember this. When ZL is purely resistive, for ZL greater than Z0, we'll find the Z minimum. Now ZL is greater than Z0. Since it is given with respect to voltage minimum at the load point. So the question they are given, characteristic impedance is 50 ohms. So Z0 is given. So if we find S value, we can substitute. So I had noted down all the given parameters. So VSWR formula is Vmax by V minimum. We have 2-3 formulas for VSWR. One is Vmax by V minimum. From this only we will derive it with respect to reflection coefficient. So S is equal to Vmax by V minimum. So question they are given V max is equal to 4 and V minimum is equal to 1. So if you substitute, S value will be equal to 4. Now, after finding S, we'll go for this equation. For ZL is less than Z0, what is the condition? S is equal to Z0 by ZL. Now you found the S. S is equal to 4. Z0 is given in the question as 50 ohms. ZL is the term to be found. Again, this is equal to 50 by ZL is equal to 12.5 ohms. The question is the value of load resistance, that is equal to 12.5 ohms. So V max, V minimum, 50 ohms resistive load. From all these parameters, we found the value of load resistance is equal to 12.5 ohms. And with the same data, we have the next question. The reflection coefficient is given by. So reflection coefficient is the term K. So reflection coefficient is given by, there are two formulas for reflection coefficient. Now you found S value also. We know the value of Z0 and ZL. One formula is ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. So if we substitute here, now only we found ZL is equal to 12.5 minus 50. 50 is the characteristic impedance. So 12.5 plus 50. So this will be 6 minus 0.6. So if we divide minus 50 minus 12.5 divided by 62.5, it will get the answer 0.6. If you see another one, the question is minus 0.6 also, answer is 0.6. Suppose instead of this formula ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0, if we go for this formula, this is also the same formula, right? We are used in many problems. The reflection coefficient is equal to S minus 1 by S plus 1. We have to well remember this is modulus of reflection coefficient. Most of the cases we will forget it. This is modulus. Modulus of reflection coefficient is S minus 1 by S plus 1. But in our question, they are given with respect to polarity, minus and plus. So we have to choose the formula ZL minus Z0. We should not choose the formula S minus 1 by S plus 1. In case if you choose this formula, you will get 4 minus 1 divided by 4 plus 1. So that is equal to 0.6. Your answer will be wrong if you choose 0.6. So whenever reflection coefficient is asked in your question, it is better to go with the formula ZL minus Z0 most probably. When data is not sufficient for ZL minus Z0, at that time prefer this formula. Okay. So when we don't have sufficient data, only we have to go for S minus 1. We have the sufficient data, then prefer ZL minus Z0 by ZL plus Z0. You'll see the next question. It is again about the Smith chart. Many circles are drawn in the Smith chart used for transmission line calculation. The circle shown in the figure represents unit circle, constant resistance circle, constant reactance circle, constant reflection coefficient circle. So it's very easy question. Those who knows about Smith chart, we are well known that all circles are resistance circle. Arc lines will be our reactance. Our arc lines will be our reactance. All circles are resistance circles. Answer is resistance circle. So whenever we draw the resistance circle, the radius will be equal to 1 divided by 1 plus r. The center will be r divided by 1 plus r, comma 0. So very simple question, constant resistance circle. Next question. When a plane wave traveling in free space is incident normally on a medium having epsilon r is equal to 4, the fraction of the power transmitted into the medium is given by. So what are the given parameters? When a plane wave traveling in free space. So one medium is free space, is incidenting normally on a medium having epsilon r is equal to 4. So second medium is epsilon r is equal to 4. The fraction of power transmitted into the medium. So region 1, free space, epsilon r is equal to 1, mu r is equal to 1. Region 2 is some medium. We don't know what is the medium. They are given only the value of epsilon r. So we will assume that as non-magnetic medium and take as mu r is equal to 1. So most of the time when the parameters is not given with respect to epsilon or mu r, we imagine it. That is, we assume it to be 1. So mu r is equal to 1. So given data, region 1, region 2, they are given the mu r epsilon r value, mu r epsilon r value, so mu r and epsilon r value for both the mediums. Have to calculate the fraction of power transmitted into the medium. So how to calculate the fraction of power transmitted? So the formula for fraction of power transmitted will be Pt divided by Pi, that is the fraction of power transmitted, is equal to 1 minus reflection coefficient square. So we have to find the reflection coefficient. If we find reflection coefficient, we can solve this. So the question is Pt by Pi only. So how to find reflection coefficient? So in propagation, the reflection coefficient is given by eta 2 minus eta 1 divided by eta 2 plus eta 1. So what is eta? That is equal to mu by sigma. So eta 1 will be equal to root of mu 1 by sigma 1. Mu 1 will be equal to mu naught into mu r1. Epsilon will be equal to epsilon naught into epsilon r1. Similarly, eta 2 root of mu naught mu r2 divided by epsilon naught into epsilon r2. Substitute the value of mu1 and mu2 in the reflection coefficient equation. What happened to mu r1 and mu r2? Mu r1 and mu r2 is equal to 1. So we have not written here. You can take commonly mu naught by epsilon naught. So mu naught by epsilon naught will be cancelled. So if we cancel mu naught by epsilon naught, the question will be 1 by root of 1 divided by epsilon r2 minus root of 1 divided by epsilon r1 divided by root of 1 divided by epsilon r2 plus root of 1 divided by epsilon r1. So our epsilon r1 is 1. R2 is 4. So 1 divided by root 4 minus 1 divided by 1 divided by root 4 plus 1. So root 4 is 2. 1 by 2 minus 1 is minus 1 by 2. 1 by 2 plus 1 is 3 by 2. 2 will get cancelled. So the answer is minus 1 by 3. Eta is equal to minus 1 by 3. Now we have the equation Pt by Pi is equal to 1 minus reflection coefficient the whole square. Now we found that as minus 1 by 3. So minus 1 by 3 the whole square will be equal to 1 by 9. So Pt by Pi will be equal to 1 minus 1 by 9. So answer will be equal to 8 by 9. Answer is 8 by 9. So remember this, we are only going with the common equation for incidence. Reflection coefficient will be equal to eta 2 minus eta 1 divided by eta 2 plus eta 1. we'll go to the next question. Again, next question is common data for two questions. So this is the question. A 30-volt bird tree with zero source resistance is connected to a coaxial line of characteristic impedance 50 ohms at t is equal to 0 seconds. So at t is equal to 0 seconds, voltage is 30 with zero source resistance. So resistance is 0 for the source, is connected to a coaxial line of characteristic impedance of 50 ohms and is terminated in an unknown resistive load. The line length is such that takes 400 microseconds for an electromagnetic wave to travel from source to the load end and vice versa. So traveling time is 400 microseconds in the transmission line. So at t is equal to 400 microseconds. So after one transmission, the voltage at the load end is found to be 40 volt. So by the given data, so the question is to find load resistance, steady state current through the load resistance. So load resistance, I have drawn the diagram of for this with the given data. From the given data, it is Vs is equal to 30 ohms, Zs is equal to 0 ohms, Z0 is equal to 50 ohms. For time, I have given a switch. So when t is equal to 0, our ZL is, we have to find ZL. ZL is not given. When at this point, when Z is equal to time is equal to 0, the length is also 0. When length is equal to L, time is equal to Z1 plus. So Z1 plus will be equal to 400 microseconds. So for this diagram, I have drawn the voltage bouncing diagram. What is voltage bouncing diagram? When traveling time, I have drawn here. So when 0, 0, 0, 0 means when the length is 0 and time is 0, it is at the starting position. When it travels full length of the transmission line, the length is t and the time is t1 plus, that is the 400 microseconds. The equation will be V0 output voltage plus alpha L indicates the reflection coefficient of at the load. Okay, plus reflection coefficient at the load plus reflection coefficient the load into V0, that is equal to 40. That is again given in the question. From this, how to find the reflection coefficient? The voltage reflection coefficient is gamma L. At load is given by ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. Is the same equation for reflection coefficient. Since we normally calculate the reflection coefficient at load only. Can you relate this? Now at time is equal to 0. Very simple. At time is equal to 0, it will cut here. So time is equal to 0. Z0, I0, we don't have any transmission line. Output is V0. So ZL, sorry. V0 is equal to Vs is equal to 30 ohm. From the equation, 40 is equal to Vs into 1 plus gamma L. Vs is 30. So gamma L, again I'm substituting ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z0. Substitute that. Simplify this and find the value of ZL. Sorry. ZL. Sorry. Correct only. If you simplify, I will get ZL is equal to 100 ohms. How to simplify? You know the simplification, mathematical simplification only. Take this 30 to the other side. After that, take 1 here. So 70, 70 minus 169. After that, cross multiply and find the value of ZL. You will get ZL is equal to 100. So first answer you got as 100. So only main thing to be remembered is this equation. V naught plus gamma L into V naught is equal to 40 ohms. We are starting the answer from this. So what is our next question? Steady state current through the load resistance. How to find the steady state current through the load resistance? So from the bouncing diagram, the steady state current equation is this. So from this we found already alpha L. Now alpha S we have to find. So alpha is both the reflection coefficient. Alpha L is with respect to load, alpha S is with respect to source. We have both reflection coefficients. Why we have two reflection coefficient? It is always bidirectional transmission. And most of the cases it is symmetrical. Some cases, if it is designed unsymmetrical, may not be a symmetrical transmission line, but most of the time our transmission line is symmetrical. So gamma S will be equal to ZS minus Z0 divided by ZS plus Z0. So 0 minus 50 divided by 0 plus 50, that is equal to minus 1. Gamma L already we found 100 minus 50 by 100 plus 50, that is equal to 1 by 3. So I naught will be equal to Z0 by V naught by Z0. So 30 by 60 is equal to 0.6. So here we found I naught, gamma L, gamma S. So you can substitute in this equation. You'll get the answer. So answer is 0.3. It's very important to remember the equation of steady state current. Next question 28, and this is very easy. So question 28 is a parallel branch of two-wire transmission line are terminated in 100 ohms and 200 ohms. Resistance as shown in the figure. The characteristics impedance of the transmission line is 50 ohms and each section has a length of lambda by 4. The voltage reflection coefficient. So we have to find voltage reflection coefficient means K. So see this transmission line. Here we have 3 quarter wave lines. 1, 2 and 3 quarter wave lines. We will take for the first line the input impedance is Z in. So at this point we will take Z in 1. Here we will take Z in 2. So after finding Z in 1 and Z in 2, if you see both are in parallel. So Z in 1 parallel to Z in 2 will give your load resistance at this point. After that, you can simplify this circuit and find the value of, if you know ZL, you can add Z0, you can find the value of reflection coefficient. So I have taken the line A, line B, line C. So here the impedance is Z in. Here the impedance is Z in 2. After that, total Z in will be equal to Z in 1 parallel with Z in 2. After that, K only we have to find Z0 minus ZL by, sorry, ZL minus Z0 divided by ZL plus Z. So first, how to get the impedance of this Z in 1? To get Z in 1, remember this is the quarter wave line. So as previously we saw for quarter wave line, Z in formula will be equal to, is remember it, Z0 square divided by ZL. For Z naught square divided by ZL. So for line 1, Z in will be equal to Z naught is 50 ohms. So 50 ohms is common for all the lines. Since it's a characteristic impedance, it will not change anywhere. So Z in 1 will be equal to 50 square divided by, for Z1 the load is 100. So divided by 100. So 250, 2500 divided by 100 will be equal to 25. Next for the line 2. So for line 2, same formula. Since that length is also lambda by 4. Characteristic impedance is same, 50 ohms. Here the load is different. Load is equal to 200. So divided by 200. So 2500 divided by 200. Cancel 2 zeros. You will get 25 divided by 2. It is 12.5. So we got Z in 1 and Z in 2. Now, Z in 1 and Z in 2 are parallel. So, effective load will be equal to ZL, Z in 1 parallel to Z in 2. So, 25 by 2 parallel with 25. Find the value. So, 25 by 3. If I redraw this diagram I have redrawn here. Now this is kind of only we have found the effective resistance at this point. So ZL will be equal to 25 by 3. So Z in we have to find now. Z naught by ZL. So find it. Why I have to find Z in? Directly I can find reflection coefficient. We have that question, right? I can go with the formula ZL minus Z naught divided by ZL plus Z naught. My question is to find the reflection coefficient, voltage reflection coefficient. But read the question very properly. The question is voltage reflection coefficient at the input. So if I didn't notice this last word at the input, I'll go with the formula ZL minus Z naught divided by ZL plus Z naught. But remember, voltage reflection coefficient at the input. So input is very important. So the formula changes now. ZL is 25.3. So RT input. So I have to find Z in first. Quarter wave line. So Z in formula is Z naught square by ZL. 50 divided by ZL is 25 by 3. Is equal to 300 ohms. Now the question is to find reflection coefficient at the input. So the equation will be Zn minus Z0 divided by Zn plus Z0. Why this? Our transmission, you have to well remember our transmission line is a symmetrical network plus bidirectional. So since the symmetrical network, input will be equal to output and output will be equal to input. It's a bidirectional. So reflection coefficient at the input. We know what is reflection coefficient. Some part of the input, output will be reflected to the input. Again, that will be reflected to the output. That will cause the standing wave at last. So due to this, we find the reflection coefficient. Normally, when it is mentioned reflection coefficient, that is mentioned that reflection coefficient at the load. When they particularly mention that reflection coefficient at the input end, we have to go for the formula Zn minus Z0 divided by Zn plus Z0. Instead of ZL, you have to replace by Zn. So now Zn, you found it out. 300. Substitute 300 minus 50 divided by 300 plus 50 is equal to 5 by 7. So answer is 5 by 7. next question. One end of a lossless transmission line having the characteristic impedance of 75 ohm and the length of 1 centimeter is short-circuited at 3 gigahertz. The input impedance at the other end of the transmission line. So what is the question? One end of the lossless transmission line has a characteristic impedance 75 ohms and the length is 1 centimeter is short circuited. So for transmission line, one end is short circuited. At 3 gigahertz, the input impedance of the other end of the transmission line. So they have asked a transmission line, Z0 is 25 ohms, length is 1 centimeter, one end is short circuited. So what is the condition for short circuited? ZL is equal to 0. At 3 gigahertz, frequency is 3 gigahertz. The input impedance at the other end of the transmission line. So we have to find Z in. So Z in the general, now this is the general equation. Before that, we'll find lambda. Since the frequency is given, we'll go with to find lambda. What is frequency? 3 into 10 power 9. They are given in the question. So velocity of light, C is velocity of light, 3 into 10 power 8. So 3 into 10 power 8 divided by 3 into 10 power 9 will be equal to 0.1 meters. Since the length is given in centimeter, I will convert this into centimeter, that is 10 centimeter. How to find the input impedance? You have to go with the general formula. Now, BL is equal to 20. Beta is equal to 2 pi by lambda. L is equal to 1. So, lambda now you found as 10 centimeter. L is equal to 1. So, 2 pi divided by 10 into 1. So, after cancellation, it is pi by 5. Beta is equal to pi by 5, but in centimeters. For lossless transmission line, this is the general equation of input impedance. Zin is equal to Z0 into ZL plus JZ0 tan beta L divided by Z0 plus JZL tan beta L. Now, ZL is 0. Since this is short circuited, ZL is 0. Z0 is given in the question as 75 ohms. So if we cancel the 75 will get cancelled. We will get J 75 tan pi by 5. Our question is, what is our question? Whether it is inductive or capacitive or resistive. They have not asked about the exact answer. So J 75 tan pi by 5. So tan pi by 5 will be approximately positive, not negative. So answer will be J 75 into some value. So J, some value will be positive. We don't have negative. Negative means it will be capacitance. If no J term, it is a real term, it will be resistance. So it is now inductive in nature. So next question. An extra high voltage transmission line of length 300 kilometer can be approximated by a lossless line having propagation constant beta is equal to 0.00127 radians per kilometer. Then the percentage ratio of line length to wavelength will be. So they are given L 300 kilometers. Beta is given as 0.00127. Our question is to find the ratio of line length to the wavelength. So L by lambda. L is given. If we find lambda, we'll get the solution. How to find lambda when beta is given? The relationship between beta The relationship between beta and lambda will be 2 pi by lambda. Beta is equal to 2 pi by lambda. So beta is equal to 2 pi by lambda means lambda is equal to 2 pi by beta. Substitute. Beta is if you substitute the beta value, you will get 4947.39. Now we have to find L by lambda. 300 divided by 4947, it is approximately 6.06. So answer is 0.06. Next question is same as what we previously solved. So it's very easy for you to solve. The transmission line terminated in two branches, each of length lambda by 4 as shown. The figure is terminated by 50 ohms as load. The line or lossless has the characteristic impedance as shown in the figure. The impedance ZI as seen by the source. I had redrawn the same diagram. This is Z in 1, Z in 2. These two will be in parallel. So we have to find Z L will be equal to Z in 1 parallel with Z in 2. Find it, solve it, we'll get the question is to now find only the input impedance. So you can find it. I redrawn the diagram. So first Z in, it's a quarter wave line. So formula is Z naught square by divided by ZL. Z naught given in our question is 100 ohms. So 100 square divided by ZL, both the thing is same. For both the parallel wires, they are given ZL is equal to 50. So 100 square divided by 50 is equal to 200. So Z in 2 is also the same. Z naught square by ZL, 100 square divided by 50 is equal to 200 ohms. Now, these two are in parallel. So Z in it will be equal to Z in 1 parallel with Z in 2. So both are in parallel means 200 into 200 divided by 200 plus 200 will be equal to 100 ohms. Now, the same diagram I have redrawn here. See if these two wings are replaced by a single load resistance 100 ohms. So Z L will be equal to Z in parallel with Z in. Found is 100 ohms, we are substituted here. Now it is easy to find Z in. Z in is equal to, again this is a quarter wave line, Z naught square divided by Z L. So that is 50 square divided by 100, that is equal to 25. Okay, the question looks difficult, but it is very easy to solve. Only formula here to be remembered is Z naught square divided by ZL. So next question. The transmission line has a characteristic impedance of 50 ohms and a resistance of 0.1 ohms per meter. The line is distortionless. The attenuation constant is, so now we come with attenuation constant. A transmission line has a characteristic impedance 50 ohms. So Z naught is equal to 50 ohms. The resistance is equal to 0.1. R is equal to 0.1. The line is distortionless. So distortionless, we have the condition for distortionless. So the attenuation constant we have to find. Question is given. So distortionless line, Z naught will be equal to root of Z by L. That will be equal to root of R by G. So propagation constant. This is the formula for lossless transmission line. Propagation constant is the root of Rg plus J omega root of LC. Alpha is equal to root of Rg and beta is equal to root of LC. Our question is attenuation constant, we have to find alpha. If the line is distortion line, find alpha. Alpha means you have to find Rg. So gamma is equal to Rg. So first we have the common equation Z0 is equal to root of L by C, and attenuation constant is equal to root of R by G. Equate both, or to equate both, we'll multiply both. So Z0 that I had taken as equation 1, gamma I had taken as equation 2, multiply both. So you will get, we multiply root of Rg with this, G and G will get cancelled. Root R into root R will be equal to R. So gamma into Z0 is equal to R. Attenuation constant will be equal to R by Z0. R is given as 0.1. Z0 is given as 15. So your answer will be 0.002 Nepers per meter. I have some more questions. I'll give in the PPT. I have some more questions. I have solved 2 questions. After that, I have given the question and answer. Please try the answers. Okay. I have given answers also. Please try it as a homework. Thank you.